It's Sam with two M's, and welcome back to another MYXclusive interview. As you guys can see, I have another very special guest here with me, and he is someone who has been giving us all the feels, guys, with his music, just giving us all those vibes. And he's here to talk about how he's been, his music, and everything in between. Everyone, please welcome Suriel Hess. Woo!
How's it going?
Hey, Suriel, how have you been? How's everything?
It's been crazy. Obviously, everything's been kind of a whole shift this year, but recently has been really exciting. We're just a month out from my last release, so I've just been kind of taking it in and enjoying everything. It's nicer weather lately, so I've been feeling really good.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, the weather is like, I feel like that's really something that can dictate our mood, if you know what I mean. And
Totally.
it's really nice being able to talk to you, even though, with the distance and all. So everyone's watching, Surreal's actually calling us from LA and I'm in the Philippines. So we are on different sides of the world, even though the world is round. But you know what I mean. You guys know what I mean. So it's nice being able to talk to you. I'm just going to let you know, Surreal, I had to research like the proper way to actually like say your name because I was so scared to pronounce it wrong. So I'm really curious, like, what was like the strangest pronunciation you've ever heard of your name before?
Oh man,
Because it's very
I've
unique.
heard so many. Yeah, my mom kind of set me up with like a built-in stage name, but for people who are just reading it and don't hear it first, it's like it's always a little bit of a gamble. But I've heard
Yeah.
probably like cereal is probably the weirdest one, just because
Oh.
like in kindergarten, kids used to call me cereal and like try to make jokes about it. But
Oh.
no, overall, they're just kind of random versions, just however people tend to pronounce it. I'm like, go for that. That works.
I
That's fine.
support you. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. And I love that, it's kind of like a conversation starter too. Like, oh, well, it's actually surreal, like the word. I love that you have that kind of like explanation ready to go. But as you
Right.
did mention a while ago, you've been still keeping busy despite everything that's been going on. But let's kind of go back to last year. I know like these are very unprecedented times for everyone. So what was it like for you dealing with everything, especially at first and kind of adjusting gradually to everything?
Yeah. I think it was a crazy adjustment phase in the beginning, just because I don't think anybody expected it to last this long. But even in the beginning, it was just kind of like something unexpected. And for me, I feel like, especially with making music, I get so emotionally involved, and it's hard for me to separate how I'm feeling that day. I feel like the whole point is to talk about that. So in the beginning, I was definitely having a bit of like, just really taking in what's happening in the world and kind of just like taking a breather and processing rather than like, keeping it going right away with
Yeah.
content. But yeah, just kind of took it all in, and it was important to realize how essential it is to be able to, still interact with the people you care about. And it was like shown very, very abruptly, but yeah, got used to it after a little while, and I have some cool people around me that made it easy. So
Yeah, I can definitely relate to what you said. Kind of like at first feeling like you don't really know what's happening. You kind of feel like alone, but like throughout like the time, you realize you're surrounded by so many people who are there for you and like will support you through everything. But I'm sure the last year for you was like a lot of introspection, a lot of like reflecting on yourself. So was there anything new that you discovered about yourself during this time?
yeah, I think it was like that for everybody, and it was interesting because I think talking to other people and my family members and my girlfriend and my friends, like that was kind of what helped me understand more about myself too during all this. It's just understanding like how social we are or how social we aren't, and just kind of knowing that it's okay that even though we're not doing all the same activities, like you still need breathers, and it's important to separate from certain things. But overall, I think just knowing that it's important to have the people you really care about and connect with them, and also take like healthy time for yourself to know how you feel about everything, just because everything's crazy. So I gotta have a time to take it in. That's
so
probably the
true.
main stuff I noticed.
Yeah, I love that you said we realize how social we are and how social we're not. I feel like
Yeah.
that's also something that I realized. Like throughout this time, I felt like I was not so extroverted as I actually am. But then I realized
Right.
like, oh my God, I do need people. I need this energy around me.
Right.
So it's nice. It's nice to see that you've also kind of felt that way throughout the year. But you know, you said you've still been making a lot of music during this time, which is really cool. Still being able to stay creative during this time. But let's kind of go back to the beginning of how you actually started making music. So how did you actually start your journey with music?
Yeah, it started, I would say probably I was 10, 11, and
Mm-hmm.
my dad had always been involved in music. He'd been in a couple bands even
Mm-hmm.
before I was born. And then even now he's a worship leader, and he always found it important to just like have music around.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived primarily with my mom and would visit my dad in the summers and various holidays. And during the summer, I'd be there for a few months, not knowing a lot of friends over there, but he always just had this guitar sitting on the wall. And for me, I started like just out of boredom, needing something to do. And I taught myself how to play guitar off of
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. And it
Mm-hmm.
was always just playing covers of my favorite songs. And then that eventually turned into street performing. And sometimes I would, you know, run through my covers and people would still be there. And I didn't want to repeat a song. So
Yeah.
then I would start to make something up on the spot. And that was the first time I was like aware that I could probably write songs too. And then
Mm-hmm.
um, I kind of just turned that into sharing it online. It was through YouTube and live streaming, and saw
Mm-hmm.
that people kind of had a response to it.
Yeah.
And it just kept spiraling. And the next step from then was I grew up in Oregon. So it was to then move from Oregon to LA and find a way to
Mm-hmm.
make that journey possible, which was a
Mm-hmm.
crazy, crazy journey too.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
is crazy. Like those are really big steps too. Like kind of you know, like having an initial interest in music and then posting it on YouTube. I mean that's like a huge push too. Like being able to share your voice and your music with other people, and then moving to LA, I'm sure was also like a huge thing for you. I can imagine. But do you remember like the kind of music you first started out making? Like what was the first song you ever wrote, or like what were the
Yeah.
themes that you were more drawn to during that time?
It's interesting because the very first song I ever wrote and performed was like so classic, like you know, you can cry on my shoulder, those kind of
Oh,
lyrics,
wow.
like very, very straightforward, like
Yeah.
romance. And
Mhm.
that was probably at the age of 12, 13. And then
Mhm.
when I was trying to really figure out writing, I was doing more folky and alternative, and trying to
Mhm.
write about these crazy life things, you know, like traveling the
Mhm.
world. And then
Yeah.
I started bringing it back to more personal stuff after that. Like when closer
Mhm.
to 17, 18 was when I started to really realize that it's a therapy, and it's a way to communicate what we feel. And so then I started making it a little bit more personal after that.
Yeah, so we love the growth. We love the growth from like the first part of your career and then kind of like making it more personal, especially now with your music. Like what I said a while ago, it gives us all the feels because I feel like your music is very relatable and stuff that we can all kind of take for our own and really something that we can all relate to. But I want to ask you too, like we were talking about how you made big moves like moving to LA. So what do you think was like the craziest part of your career so far, like up to this point?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of steps. The actual move from Oregon to LA was so crazy for me because I was
Yeah.
only 19 at the time,
Wow.
and I had met a friend online.
Mhm.
His name's Tyler, and we were both interested in music and kind of collaborating. So we decided to move out to LA together,
Mhm.
and we did the whole like pack your car up, drive to LA with no real plan. And there's, you know,
Mhm.
no one's going to let us rent with no rental history or any credit. And I just had like a
Yeah.
little bit saved in my bank. And I actually ended up staying at a family friend's in a bedroom, master bedroom closet with my other friend on two cots for a
Mhm.
month. And
Whoa.
then he was like, "You got 1 month." The month was up, and we found an ad on Craigslist. And the next move was living in an RV off of Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood. And we were
Mm.
like going to the bathroom at the grocery store and showering at the gym. And
Wow.
that was for another month. And
Mhm.
then following that was living in a trailer 70 miles out of town in
Mhm.
Palmdale, which is kind of like a desert, and driving 70 miles every time I wanted to go to the studio. So it was just this crazy, like, do anything we can to make it happen, even though I could have still lived with my family in Oregon, but I was like,
Yeah.
I really wanted to get down. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was crazy for a little while.
That's so crazy. Oh my God, just hearing you how you kind of went from place to place and still really made it work with your music. I felt like it was such a grind for you too, like with everything that was
Yeah.
going on. So what do you think you learned the most from that experience, and still grinding and making your music?
I think it's interesting because I had said that I still had the chance and the choice to be living with my family,
Yeah.
and it wasn't like that was my only option, but it
Mhm.
was interesting to know that in order to be here in this space of LA and have a chance to meet more people, I had to put myself in a kind of uncomfortable position, and that's
Mhm.
kind of what's going on right now. Is like I think everybody feels uncomfortable because it's like something we're not prepared for, but
Yeah.
most of the times I notice that when I'm struggling or I have discomfort, that's when I kind of change the most and grow the most, and
Yeah.
usually make the best music because
Mhm.
it's how we express is feeling kind of more intense emotions. So I
Mhm.
think that process taught me that in those situations there's the most room to make something out of it and to
Yeah, for
move forward.
sure. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
can imagine like with creating music, a lot of people will think like moving to LA, like it's all this like Hollywood and like this glamorous kind of like lifestyle. But like as someone like you who really tried to make everything work, even though it was like a little bit uncomfortable at some points, is still really inspiring, I'm sure, for a lot of people too. And we're so excited because you're here talking about your music and like you've been making music that you love too, recently, and it's just so nice to be able to see you as an artist share that with others. So let's talk about your newest single, which is Sick of You, and you just wrote this in quarantine. So could you tell us more about what it's about and what inspired this?
Yeah, so Sick of You, I keep calling it my quarantine love song because
Mhm.
it's really about, everyone's kind of been stuck with the small bubbles that they have, whether it's one person or their, few family members or whatever it is, their roommate. For me, the main person I was seeing a lot is my girlfriend, and it
Mhm.
was just a chance to realize that like when you spend that much time with someone, you notice all these details, and
Yeah.
sometimes depends on who you're with. Like sometimes those can kind of add up, and you notice like,
Mhm.
oh, what we maybe like bother each other at little moments or whatever. And
Mhm.
I kind of got lucky where every time I was noticing these details, I ended up feeling just more and more appreciative of all of them. So I had a Zoom session with two writers, Peter Fenn and Jesse Fink, and they were like, "What's on your mind?" And I was like, "Man, I noticed all these details about my girlfriend. I think we should write about being stuck with people
Yeah.
and still loving them at the end of all of it." So
Mhm.
it's just about at the end of the day, even though you notice all these things and the differences and the similarities, that's the reason that you care about those people is because of what they bring to the table. So
Mhm. Yeah, and
yeah,
I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, especially in the last year. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a significant other, even just like your family. Like you notice all of
exactly.
these like small things about them that can sometimes annoy you, but you like kind of still choose to love them despite of it, like
Right.
annoying you. And I think like something a lot of people can really relate to. But I saw that you actually like in the past you tend to shy away from like quote unquote love songs. So what
Right.
changed in you and what made you want to write like this love song?
Yeah, I definitely used to be more hesitant of like the super forwardly romantic lyrics, and I think it was just the time frame of what I was feeling. I always write pretty authentically about what I'm experiencing at the time, but the other thing is I think right now with so much craziness in the world, it feels better to just say, how much you care about someone and to tell them
Mhm.
and to hear that back. And I wanted to write something that if anyone's listening to it, they just get that warm feeling of
Mhm.
feeling appreciated, and it just kind of maybe even a distraction from everything for a minute of just feeling good and hearing it really straightforward, like, I'm still not sick of you, there's nothing you can do, and just is a nice thing to feel.
For
So
sure. And I feel like if there's one thing that like this past year has told us or showed us is like life's so short, and like if you love someone, just like let them
Tell
know
them.
despite yeah, just let them know. Put it out there in the universe. But I am curious, like what did your girlfriend think of the song when she heard it? And like especially with the
Yeah,
idea behind it.
she cried within about two lyrics of
Oh.
it, and yeah, it's interesting too because I've been doing Zoom sessions, and sometimes she's at her apartment, but this time she was actually out in the other room, and just you just didn't really know what was being written about, and then I just said, "Hey, come
Mm,
in here," and sang it to her, and there's a couple lines in, I get really specific about her and her mom,
yeah.
uh, and now her whole family, her specifically, started crying right then, and
Oh.
then her whole family, they just love this one because it feels
Mhm,
so specific to this
mhm.
situation and her. And yeah, it's one of her favorites. She never gets sick of it either, hopefully. So yeah.
Oh, I love that. And I mean, if I were her too, like, or if anyone even wrote a song about me, I feel like I would cry too, regardless of what it's about. So I feel like, yeah, that's such a cute, like, so genuine reaction coming from her, like crying first two lines, and it's just. I can imagine what that was like. But aside from your girlfriend, I also saw that you were actually singing the songs to strangers on Omegle, which is something that you
Right.
do quite a lot. So what was that experience like for you?
That's one of my like main ways of introducing music to people. So I'll go on and video chat with strangers, and I did it
Mhm.
a long time ago, and it's kind of come back during the pandemic just because it's a good way to interact with people. But I used to use this as a way of getting over stage fright or testing if a song
Oh, no
was
way.
was something that people would like, and
Mhm.
so it just kind of carried through. And I think it's really fun. People always give me like a really genuine initial reaction, and it feels cool to talk to someone I've never spoken to, and then all of a sudden, they're dropping their jaw or doing some kind of crazy reaction,
Yeah.
um, and you just get to hang out for a little while. So it's fun to share my music more personally, just from my room. You know.
Yeah, and I found it so funny. Like the first clip I think of that video was this guy who's like, "Aren't you surreal? Like I've seen
Yes.
all of your interviews and like I've seen like all of your performances." How crazy was that? I feel like that's such a fun experience too, like being able to see someone like that.
Yeah, it's really cool because specifically in that community, because I've
Mhm,
made so many videos on that
mhm,
site, a lot of people will go there and hope to
mhm.
run into people who they've watched before, and
Yeah.
these guys will randomly run into me. And one time I had actually run into somebody who was in school. They were in a class. This is a couple of years back,
Yeah.
and I mean, I see all the other desks and students, and he freaked out. And he was like, oh, "I know you, I know you, I know you." And then you hear the teacher come over, like, "Turn that off!" Like he got in trouble. But it's just cool. People get so excited. And it's cool to be able to interact with someone who I'd probably never really interact with otherwise.
Yeah.
And to know that they even take a second to watch my stuff makes it that much cooler. So
I know, that's crazy. And he got in trouble for you. You know what I mean? Like he
exactly, I know he put himself on the line for that.
yeah, and that's such a touching feeling, I feel like, and that's an experience you can't get anywhere else. So I feel like yeah, that's a very cool thing that you're able to see like the genuine reactions of people when they hear your song for the first time. That's such a cool way too. Like if I was an artist now, I feel like I would want to do that too. So I'm gonna take a
Yeah.
mental note. Wow, but it's really cool. You're sharing your music with others. I saw that for "Sick of You," you have an official lyric visual, but do you have like plans of creating a music video, or did you already make it? So is there anything you want to share with us?
Yeah. So far, the next thing that's going to be coming out is a fan video. So it's just
Oh,
essentially I asked all my fans to just send in a 3 to 10 second clip of the person, place, or thing, or whatever it is that just they'll never get sick of, and it just makes them feel good. So there's people, with their pets, their partners,
oh,
at the sunset, and so that'll be coming out next week. And
mhm.
aside from that music video, I have concepts, but we'll probably wait a little bit and see if that happens. But the fan video is the next one.
Oh, so we're so excited for that. And I'm sure a lot of your fans too are so excited to see like who made the cut and like what
Yeah,
parts you're able
exactly.
to include. So I'm sure they're really, really excited to see that come out very, very soon. If you mentioned next week, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, next week.
Yes. Okay. So, guys, make sure to take a mental note. Next week, the fan video "Sick of You" is coming out. But now that we have a month since you released "Sick of You," what else can we expect coming from you, Surreal? I'm sure a lot of people are excited too to hear everything that you've been working on.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of other songs in the works.
Mhm.
As it comes to Sick of You, I'm going to have merch coming, so it's just kind of lining that up. But the other music is there's about, I would say, probably 7-ish songs that I feel really excited
Wow.
about the ideas, and it's just narrowing them down. So I think in the next couple months there'll definitely be another one on the way. I don't know exactly what
Hmm.
to make up my mind, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's definitely some new
Ooh.
music on the way.
Okay, so we're so excited for that. Hopefully, you're able to like make up your mind on when you want to like release everything because I'm sure your fans are so excited too. But before I do let you go, Surreal, do you have a message to all of your fans, especially your Filipino fans who are so excited about your music and can't wait to see you when the time is right?
Yeah, I first off, I'm always just so thankful to anyone who takes a second to listen to my music, and I definitely want to make it over there when all of this is, you know, remedied and we can end up seeing each other in person. But thanks for tuning in tonight, and I hope you're enjoying all the music. And yeah, if you're someone who's creative or enjoys any sort of expression, let it out. I always think it's something that's worth sharing. So. Yeah.
Definitely. And same to you, Surreal. Thank you for sharing your creativity, of course, and your music with everyone, especially on our side of the world. You know, music is such a healing thing, and we're thankful to artists like you who continue to like create music during this time. So thank you so much, Surreal, for joining me today on a mix for the first time ever. It was so nice getting to
Yeah.
talk to you today. We're so excited. And to everyone as well who tuned into this MYXclusive interview, make sure to stream Sick of You by Suriel Hess on multiple digital streaming platforms and watch out for the fan video, which is coming out next week. So we can't wait to see what else you have in store for us, Suriel. But for now, we will have to savor Sick of You. So once
Yeah.
again, thank you so much, Suriel, for joining us today.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone as well. This has been Sam with two M's and Surreal Hess. Bye, guys.